I'm not gonna lie, I love absolutely everything with an Atari logo, and if you do too, you're in for a treat. Hi, I'm Andrew Armstrong and welcome to the Backfist Teardown Lab. Now I want to take you back to a journey to the year 1977, and that's probably before a lot of you were born. But released in 1977 was something of a revolution, and that was the Atari 2600. Now, the Atari 2600 was a video games console. There were previous video games consoles, but this was the one that really set the bar high. It cost $189 in 1977, so that's the equivalent of $850 today. So it was an expensive machine. It featured an 8-bit 6507 CPU running at 1.19 megahertz with 128 bytes of RAM, and it sold over 300 million, that would be a lot, 30 million units throughout its lifetime. And of course, it featured swappable ROM cartridges, which you have to remember there were a lot of machines around then which didn't, where they actually had fixed Pong games. So this one was the first real video games console that most people would actually see. You had cartridges of 2K, 4K, 8K, and then 16K, bundled with 2 joysticks and a paddle controller, and of course it had a bit of viral success, and that was Tato's arcade game Space Invaders, and that was released for it several years later in 1980. Of course, there are some notables. The company Activision, of course, was founded to write games for the Atari 2600. Its best-selling game was Pac-Man, but its worst-selling, most controversial, I don't know if it was worst-selling, but certainly its most controversial game was E.T. the Extraterrestrial, and of course many of those were said to be buried and long forgotten. In 1984, Jacques Tramiel, Commodore CEO at the time, bought Atari, and of course the rest is history, leading to the best video game system computer in the world, the Atari ST. Now, I want to show you some swag, because the Atari brand has been used on so many things now. You'll find it everywhere, and I actually managed to try to buy a few things with it on. So here we go. The first thing is the Atari Retro Handheld console. So I picked these things up on the eBay. So I already put some batteries in this one to save a little bit of time, as the box was already open. And you can see it comes in a nice wood grain effect to simulate the old Atari VCS. And I have to say, it is actually really well done. Apparently Blaze has the license for a few of these to make these Atari things. But you can see here, if I just zoom in, it's got a really nice embossed logo. That finish is quite good. You have a micro SD card slot on the side, and on the top you've got your on-off switch, headphones, AV outs. You can plug that into the TV, and your volume control. And I will just flick it on because it does take a little while to boot, if I'm not mistaken. A bit of dust on the screen. Now you do have 2 buttons here. I'm not entirely sure why. And you can see this is sort of reminiscent of the sort of joystick pattern. It's a bit rubbery. That's the interesting part here. It's actually rubbery. If you look here and I push on it, it does deform. So it is quite like the old joystick. Oh. So you can see the menu has booted up, and you get a whole bunch of stuff. It has, you can see there at the bottom, 13 pages of games. So you're going to be able to have to scroll through these. Now, this says it's got 60 on here, and you can load more via the SD card, micro SD card rather. I don't know how many the total library is, but I do know there are definitely homebrew games now available too. So this could be a good platform for running those. You can see the menu nice and clearly here. It's arranged in 13 pages, so you can just scroll through the pages by hitting left and right, and up and down lets you just cycle through them that way. Adventure, very common game, very great game actually. That's a lot of fun. It's surprising. You control a pixel, but it is actually pretty good. And you just hit the old start button there, and that's it. You just run around picking up objects. Look, there you go. And avoiding the dragon, which I think we'll find in here. Look, there you go, that's a dragon. But I have noticed in the menu, if you do scroll down to here, you have Centipede, but it's for the Atari 7800. So this thing can clearly emulate later revisions of the hardware, which So that could be interesting from a ROM perspective if you're loading them on that SD card, because certainly some of those consoles were a lot less popular, and I'm pretty much sure they were like precursors to the NES and Sega Master System, those which were just about to come out and completely destroy Atari on that front. Dark Chambers. Now let's have a look. Now a lot of the games on these systems do look very basic, but there were some titles towards the end of the VCS life which were reasonably good. Now this, for example, compared to the Pixel Adventure, actually looks like you have a character that you can clearly see is a character, although it doesn't seem to be using the full screen. Look, it's running in windowed mode, poor performance. But that's a bit like a Gauntlet there. Was that is that where all the baddies were coming out of that? So, interesting title. Demons to Diamonds, Desert Falcon, Double Dunk. So if you go through though, Gravitar, now that was a title I think we've heard of. In terms of the unit itself though, I think it's actually very convincing. I did say this is tap, but it's not tap. I mean, this is really quite rigidly made. The volume works fine. It's got plenty of volume for what you want to hear, the pings. It has these multi-materials used, so the rubber and the buttons and things like that. And I think this is actually pretty good. If you're into the Atari VCS or you want to experience it, I can think of plenty worse ways of doing it. So yeah, the Atari Retro Handheld Console by Blaze, and this is the second mod with the SD card, the 60 built-in games, I think is a thumbs up. So next we have the Atari 2600 Tiny Arcade, and it says it includes 9 Atari games and Pac-Man. So Pac-Man is a bonus. I'm not sure what that means. I guess it means 9 Atari branded games. The smallest fully functioning desktop console game includes one 2600 Atari console with 10 pre-programmed games, 1 TV and 1 joystick. So it has everything you need. And you can see on the side it is a teeny tiny little setup, perfect for your doll's house. Centipede, Pong, Missile Command, Breakout, Asteroids, Combat, Warlords, Millipede and Tempest, and they're all great games. And I know, Gary, you're going to love the old Combat, so we'll have a look at that while we're at it. Has an adjustable screen. There's even setup instructions on how to set it all up. I think without further ado though, it's just easier for us to just crack in there. And I have to admit, it feels to me almost wrong to open this up because that's such a cute little diorama. I don't really want to disturb it, but I will. These definitely have that vibe of being collectible about them. I'm sure there are people who do collect these. And maybe this is collectible and I've ruined it. It's always a possibility. But it comes out the box like that. Look at the little lounge setting. Very retro. And I'm just going to figure out how to release it from its plastic bonds. But you can see it's pretty well in there. And there's, oh, that's the actual cable, which is a nice braided rope. I don't know if there's a way of doing this without destroying the box, so I'm going to have to dissect it, I think. So we'll cut this tape here, cut that tape there. So I spent a few minutes dissecting this. However, I think I've managed to do it in a way that lets you preserve the packaging, because let's be fair, this thing is so tiny that you're going to want some packaging to keep it in. And I'm going to have to do some zooming in on the detail of this because it is absolutely spectacularly detailed. I really eyeballed it up close while taking it apart. And we're going to zoom right in. I mean, look, hand for scale. So we're going to have right in there. That's as close as we can get it. And you can see right on there you've got your power on, off. And do they move? Look, they move! The colour, black and white. You've got a button. I'm guessing that's some sort of on-off button, game select button. I'm not entirely sure. And yeah, the buttons do move. I don't think they actually actuate anything, but they do move around. And you can see on this one, unfortunately, this little sticker here is starting to come up. So, is that actually... Look. That's the protection stuff. Ooh, look at that. You've even got nice plastic to peel. We look at it upside down, we can see it does say UK Ka. And there is some writing there. Atari Interactive Inc. Atari logo, a registered trademark owned by Atari Interactive. Okay. So what else do we have here? You have the joystick, which is very nice. It's actually, I don't know if it's micro switch. The button is. I think it's actually all micro switch. And that's a good size, isn't it? Now you can easily keep this in a drawer. Super Impulse USA. Look at that. I mean, that feels better than the actual Atari 2600 joystick, despite being absolutely miniature. And just to give you something for scale, that's the difference we're talking about there. And I can tell you, this feels awful compared to this. Right, we'll put this away. Now let's look at the actual TV. You have, oh, actually before you get to the TV, you have the modulator box, which is that. And is there a switch on it? No. It's weird, it does actually have a switch on it that looks like it could move, but it doesn't. But it, again, like the other parts, it does have this shiny film that you could remove if you wanted to. So they've gone through a lot of care to do that sort of level of detail. The TV does appear to have legs, and it might even have batteries. In fact, before we go any further, look at this. I'm pretty sure it has batteries, which is really nice. I mean, not a lot of things have batteries with them, even in this day and age, but yes, it does, and it was preloaded. You just literally pull the tab and you'd be good to go. So I'll pop that in anyway. Let's just remove the tab. We don't need that. Pop that back over. That is an incredibly nice touch, isn't it? And with your legs pulled out, of course, you're ready to run it. Now, I did notice something here. There is a little tab here, and it appears you can adjust the angle. So when it's sitting on your desk, you can look straight at it nicely. I'm, of course, going to run it on its back. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to see it on the camera. But we have the components here arranged. We'll turn it on. Let's see how long it takes to boot. Wow, that was instant. So if you recall, the Blaze Handheld did take some time to boot, but this was pretty much instant. And of course, this is made, because you notice that on the logo there it says world's smallest. It does say that here, world's smallest. So maybe there's other collections in the world's smallest. Now I can hardly see the screen at the angle I'm looking at, so I'm hoping at home you can. We're going to go up and down, so we think we press the start button, yeah. And there is the selection of games. So let's load up something we all know. How about the old Pac-Man? That's good. Oh, nice and loud. Don't recall seeing a volume control on this, so yeah, you might have an issue with that. Now I'm going to zoom in to have a proper look. Oh, not doing too well. The emulation seems pretty good. And I am not lying at all. The joystick is absolutely fantastic compared to the original. Now the button on the console is a reset. Now I'm going to show you how I'm holding this. I'm literally just holding it like that. And that's absolutely fine. Let's try something else. We have, oh, well, combat for Gary. Gary would like to see combat, I'm sure. So let's have a go at the old combat there. Start, difficulty, tank visibility, missile guide. Oh, a lot of settings here there. Let's zoom in for the action. Doing badly so far. Where am I? Oh, I'm the blue tank. Alright, let's do sudden death. Yes! Result. Now, okay, now something a little bit more challenging perhaps would be Warlords. Again, that looks pretty good. Is this the 2600 version or a later version? That's what I wonder. I think this could be emulating one of the later systems again. But it is absolutely amazing to see these running in this such tiny format. Come on, a bit of missile command. I can't resist a bit of missile command. Oh yes. Now this was probably one of the first games I played in the arcade. Bunging in my 10p's. I think this was only 10p at the time. Just goes to show you how long ago it is. Come on. I had to just switch to 2 hands. Come on! We're almost there. Oh, we got this. We got this. We got this. Is that the last one? No. God, I don't remember the levels being so long. There we go. Okay, so again, I think this thing is absolutely blimmin' marvellous. Yeah, that's definitely got the thumbs up again. That is really good. Now, I started this video with the whole aim of like showing Atari Tat, you know, just basic stuff that's got the branding, but obviously it's just rubbish. But no, that is not rubbish. That's very good. So I have high hopes now for our last device. Well, you'll see it's not quite the last device, but our last... Oh no, it's damaged. I could have complained about that. It's... Oh well, let's just get in there. It's of course Pong. And you can see actually it includes all of the Pong type games. I thought it was just Pong, but actually it says 12 games. And you can see you've got the Warlords that we just saw, Breakout, Circus Atari, Off the Wall, Super Breakout, Video Olympics, Demons of Diamonds, Canyon Bomber, Street Racer, and Night Driver. Very cool. And it has 2-player action in Pong. So you've added a whole paddle just so you can play 2-player, but it only actually works in Pong. Bless them. Now we'll just peel this out. Now if you look on eBay, you will be able to find these games. There's probably still a few of them, but go quickly because of course everybody watching this video is going to be rushing out to snap them up. Now this unit is proper heavy, so I think it probably has the batteries in it, which will be quite welcome to be honest. And you have the on-off, push to play, and then there's the battery bay. And oh, maybe it doesn't have batteries because I'm hitting that. Let's open it up. So being heavy to start with without batteries in is a good sign. That means it's quality with a capital K. And we have some holes for the old batteries. Oh yeah, that volume control might come in handy. There we go. And I'm going to zoom in. You can see I'm actually just using the paddle to select, but because of the nature of the angle of this and me trying to show you on the screen, I've got to hold it in a weird way. So you might not be able to see the controls, but don't worry about that again. You know, I'm just turning the twiddler. So I think Pong is probably a good one to start. So we'll select the old Pong. Oh, hello. Oh, I think I've got... This is not good, is it? So let's start anyway. 1 player. It seems to be a reasonably good emulation of Pong, but I remember the paddles having a little bit more sensitivity because you can see it moves in certain steps here, but in the original it's analog, so you've got an infinite amount. You can just breathe on the paddle and move it a slight amount, but it's okay. And you can see you've basically got a wallpaper around the game. Okay, that's probably enough Pong anyway. So what else have we got? Let's try the old Breakout. Oh, we should have gone straight for Super Breakout, shouldn't we? Oh, you could almost see up my nose there. In an attempt to try to show you what this has done, I've resorted to holding the camera by hand and I'm trying to contort it into a variety of angles that make sense whilst trying to get it to focus on the screen. But you can see it is actually quite cool. It's quite a cool experience when you zoom out and use it. You've got this nice little arcade format. It is very stable. This on-off button here is very cute. I think this is quite a nice package. It seems to be mine's got a bit of a glitch with the battery bay because if I jog it around too much it does reset, and I'll have to check that out at some point. But I just want to try something like Warlords, which would be familiar. You can see there actually it glitched. It actually glitched and the screen looked a bit weird. So yeah, this is a glitchy unit. I'm going to let it reboot then. We're going to try one more time on that to hit old Warlord. So I'm going to select, start. Ah, now if you see, this is the actual 2600 version of Warlords, whereas the version we saw previously wasn't. And I'm that player at the top corner, and this is moving brilliantly. Yeah, this is actually the real experience as you'd expect. So I'd say though, apart from the glitch, this thing is absolutely gorgeous. I absolutely adore this bright big bold Atari logo. I do like the games. The menu is a little bit insensitive, but what can you do? I mean, that's a level of integration obviously they've not bothered with. But I would have really liked to see on this. The only bit I'm kind of disappointed is that it doesn't have a TV out, because I think it would be quite nice to plug this in the TV and then use the paddle controllers. Oh, I have to put it aside now. I do apologise. You have to remember I was brought up on the old Pong game, so I'm always a bit of an addict when it comes to Pong. So the next thing isn't strictly an Atari thing, and it's not really going to be something I can demonstrate to you right now, but I did get this, and this looks really interesting too. Now, it's an At Games. We love At Games, don't we? And it was open, so I haven't actually opened the box to have a look inside yet. Now, you can't get it in the UK, the one I want, but if you are in the US and other territories, you do get this in an Atari flavour, which only has Atari titles. So you can see on the back here, you've got Burger Time, Burning Rama, Escape It, Frontline, Jungle Hunt, Lock and Chase, Miss It Polaris, Shield Shifter, Space Invaders, Space Raid, and Strip Off. I don't know what Strip Off is, that sounds a bit rude. And these games, I don't think any of them are strictly Atari, but they would have been available on the 2600. God, can you imagine Atari 1200? What would that be? Let's open it up. So as I said, you can get one of these which is fully Atari-fied. And this sounds like a really brilliant concept, so I thought we'd just have a look at it anyway. And the idea is you have a Fire TV stick type dongle that you plug into your TV. You hook up the USB to give it power to one of your spare USB ports. And then you have this rather convincing looking, and I'm just going to check here. I'm curious if it's got batteries in it. No. Rather convincing looking Sega Mega Drive style 6-button pad, and it doesn't feel too bad at all. You've got start, menu, rewind, and the idea of this is you can just turn it on and start playing the games directly to your TV, no wires. It's not like a fancy pants console, it just jumps you straight into those arcade games. But apparently what you can do with this is actually you can pause the game, save, load, and as it says here, rewind. So this could be a literal game changer for any of you who are into either this selection of arcade games, or if you're in the US where most of you guys are, you can get hold of the Atari one. If you see the Atari one in the stores in Walmart and it's a reasonable price, you know, $10 or something, just put one aside for me. I'll pick that up from you. But that, I think, is a really beautiful concept. So I thought I'd just include it. Remember, some of the games on here will be on the old Atari, and I'm not sure what versions. Reviews on the internet suggest that these are the actual arcade titles in many cases, so you can't really go wrong, can you, with an arcade title? If you do have one of these, please let me know how you get on with it and what kind of games are running on it. Let's see, someone's obviously been in this box. It obviously comes with a selection of stickers. Now, how I found this, by the way, it says Legends Flashback, and I do have elsewhere in the back office more Atari branded things, because I have the one which is a couple of ones with the joysticks, they're TV games, some with the paddles are TV games, but of course the Atari Flashback 3, which is like a little mini console with a whole bunch of built-in games. When I was just searching to see what the Atari Flashbacks were doing, they have brought out way more. I don't know what their version now, version 4, version 5, they've got wireless control and everything like that, and I saw this and I figured maybe it's the old same company. So you got 2.4 gig wireless controller, HDMI, save and resume games, and rewind games. So keep a lookout for those. Maybe if you're lucky you'll find some of the other flavours. They look like they've got a flavour that covers, like, you know, Tether games, maybe some of the other games, Atari games. So you might get one which is right up your alley, like, you know, maybe you're into Data East, something like that. So there you have it. So by some means of a conclusion, I would say I went out searching for TAT, and actually I just found gold. I think The prices for all these things were very reasonable, in the £20 to £30 range. This was, I think, nearer the £20. These are nearer the £30, but yeah, definitely nothing over £30 here. The quality is absolutely blown me away. I think things like the handheld here are incredibly nice to hold, rigid. In fact, the little arcade thing here, you've got really nice finished wood grain, the features. Again, very heavy, very nice, and that was before we put the batteries in. And in terms of detail and really true sense of accuracy for the scale, I think this one is absolutely fantastic. I do look forward to trying this when I'm on the move. If you stay in hotels or you travel, I can't think of a better way really to play games. It's a better alternative. You could bring your old TV stick, but I think bringing some video games is much classier. I'm going to look out for that Atari one next time I'm in the States. So have you got any of these, and what's your experience of them? And are there any more though that you think I should be looking into? Please let me know down below. Like, share, subscribe, come chat to me on the Discord, and as ever, thank you for watching. Just on a note on versions, the missile command on this actually seems to be from the 2600, whereas the other one we saw earlier looks like it was from a later system. So yeah, I hope you're not too fussy on the versions, or if you are, I think the best thing to do is to buy all of them.